I'm thinking about painting it blue.
I'll call this meeting to order. Summer, will you take roll, please?
Commissioner Blevins?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood?
Here.
Commissioner Syracuse?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts? Here. Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here. Item number 2, invocation and flag salute. I've asked Dan Scheidel, Director of our United Way, and Colonel Astroff to do the flag salute following the invocation. So if you'll stand, please.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for our city of Enid. I'm thankful that we're blessed with the privilege of living here. I thank you that you are placing us here because of the assignment that you've given us spiritually to steward this place where we live. So today we rise up and take our place at the right hand of the Father in all spiritual authority. Lord, thank you for sending the rain. May you let an outpouring of your Holy Spirit fall fresh on this place and overcome any evil forces operating against it. Plead the blood of Jesus around the city and declare angels encamp around us. I pray for every leader in this city, the mayor, the city council, and all others in authority. I pray that you would rule and just and be godly in their wisdom, Lord. Just bless them with that. And I pray for strength and blessing for them. I ask you, Lord of harvest, to send forth laborers to every neighborhood. Let your light shine throughout every neighborhood, school, storefront, and church. Let the gospel permeate every part of this city and break through every area of darkness. Thank you, Lord, for the revival in this land. I ask that all these things in faith, knowing that your word says one man can chase 1,000. The mighty name of Jesus, spoken by one with faith, is enough to transform a city. I expect it, receive it, and we thank you for it in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 3.1, consider approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of June 22nd, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Please cast your ballots. 7-0. Item number 4, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. 4.1, present pet available for adoption at the city's Animal Welfare Department.
Tonight I have Nikki. Nikki is a panda shepherd, which is basically a German shepherd with a rare genetic mutation that causes the white spots and different colored coating. She is a very laid back, quiet girl. She's probably about 4 to 5 years old. She has had puppies in the past, and we're hoping that somebody will adopt her and get her fixed quickly before she has any more. She deserves to live a life as a house dog and not a breeding dog. She's very sweet. She is dog friendly. She likes the dogs that are a little bit on the calmer side, but she is good with the rambunctious ones too. And she is just ready for a new home, and she is located at Enid Animal Welfare. Just come out and see her if you're interested in. You ready?
Thank you. Item 4.2, recognition of city employee.
As always, this is one of the most enjoyable parts of the job. Susan, would you go ahead and come up here? And Library Director Ray, would you come up here as well? Susan Shuey is our children's librarian and probably has been, I'm going to say, has it been 2 years or so?
About 2 years.
About 2 years. I got to know Susan through the Leadership Greater Enid class and knew of her before that because her father-in-law, of course, is the well-known and respected former Mayor Bill Shuey. And your husband is everybody's eye doctor, Dr. Shuey. So, and I knew you as a banker, but you were a teacher before that.
Yes.
And so we were excited when you came over to the library, and we're specifically recognizing you tonight because of one of the things, the duties that you're performing for the state as the Sequoia Children's Librarian. And so, Terry, why don't you tell us what that means and what an honor that is?
Okay, I will tell you all about that. So the Sequoia Award is an Oklahoma Library Association award. In order to sit on the selection committee, you have to be an Oklahoma Library Association librarian. There are 10 librarians from across the state that are on the selection committee. In Susan's case, hers is for grades 3 to 5. Those 10 librarians are split between 5 school librarians and 5 public librarians, which means Susan's one of 5 in the state selected for this committee. And you start with more than 150 books.
That's what I have right now at my house, is about 150 books.
And you have to whittle that down to 15 or less.
Correct.
And those books are selected based on literary merit,
Yes,
readability,
yes,
factual accuracy.
yes,
There's a couple more.
Originality.
Originality.
yes.
And age appropriateness.
And age appropriateness.
And
Correct.
then after you have selected this master list,
Yes,
that master list goes to all the schools and all the libraries in Oklahoma. And most schools and most public libraries have reading challenges and then voting parties, because ultimately it's a Kids' Choice Award. In order to vote, you have to have read 3.
correct. Yes.
You don't have to read all of them, but you do have to read 3. And then there's a voting party, and so this is our way of contributing to all of the libraries in the state of Oklahoma. And we're really proud of Susan, because this is really a big deal.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I just want to say, yeah, it's an outstanding honor. I also want to recognize, I think I saw Board Member Ruth Ann Miles in the audience. Appreciate that. And I was going to say, you may only have to read 3. I don't know if you read all 150, but I bet you like to read. And so you probably have read most of
I
them.
think I'm about up to 60 right now since February.
So I appreciate your service. And why don't you tell us what you've been doing? And I know you debuted. You guys have been doing summer reading at the library.
We've been doing summer reading at the library. It has been a blast. The children in this community are amazing. We've been doing a summer community book club with one of the books on next year's Sequoia list. It's by Newbery Award winner Kelly Barnhill. Junior Welfare League gave us money for 100 copies of the book. All 100 of those copies have been claimed by children in Enid, and they are reading those copies, which is great. We meet weekly and read and talk and discuss. We have, right now, exciting today, Enid muralist Kelly Tompkins is volunteering her time. Our kids are creating an Enid community children's mural on 3 different canvases. We met and brainstormed today. I don't know how you're ever going to take all their ideas and make them into one mural, but I have total confidence in you. So we are having a blast with story times and books and fun and music and dancing and art. So we're having a great summer.
And STEM.
Oh, and STEM, yeah. I mentioned that last because that's not my strongest suit. But yes, we're having weekly STEM classes, and I have a teacher from Enid Public Schools leading that charge, and I'm helping her with that. So we're having a ball this summer and keeping busy. So,
Thank you so much. You're a credit to the city and the library.
well, thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, community development. Item 5.1, consider approval for the final plat for Stonebridge Second Edition located on Stonebridge Village Drive. Alex?
Yes, Mayor and honorable commissioners, the item before you is review and approval of the final plat for Stonebridge Second Edition, which is located, I have a street address here. I'll get to it in a minute. The original plat was reviewed and approved by the Mayor and Board of Commissioners for the creation of 45 lots on December 7th of 2021. The final plat, the one before you tonight, is consistent with the one reviewed and approved originally on that date. And the lots created are consistent with the standards set forth in the R2 planned unit development, which is single family. All of the improvements are now completed. Staff is requesting that you approve the final plat. And this is consistent with the review that the mayor or the MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, had on June 20th of 2023, recommending unanimously approval of this plat map. Thank you.
Move to approve item 5.1.
I have a question.
Sure.
The flume over on the west side, I got some calls, it's in my ward, it hadn't been completed before they started back up again. Had that flume get finished?
I will have Jason address that, but my understanding of the improvements are in place, but he can address it more properly.
Commissioner, are you referring to the one that's, sorry, I don't have the pointer.
No, go ahead.
Are you referring to the one that's located, Wicked, located along this side?
Right.
Yes, it's been completed and connected to the streets up here. So what was previously ponding along the back sides of these properties here on the west, and then the new lotted areas has been addressed.
Perfect. I had a
Thank you,
neighbor living next to that was very upset back 2 or 3 months ago.
I have a second, or I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. With that said, please cast your ballot. Passes 7-0. Item 5.2, hold a public hearing on a request to rezone the property located on East Chestnut Street between North 30th Street, or Highway 64, and 42nd Street from Agricultural General District to C-3 General Commercial District. Do we have anyone that wants, well, go ahead, Alex, and
Sure.
then I'll ask.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a very brief overview. It's in your staff report. This is a public hearing, as was indicated, to rezone a parcel of land located on East Chestnut between 30th Street, Highway 64, and 42nd Street. It's approximately a 3.6 acre site. It's currently zoned for agriculture. And it does not meet the minimum standard for agricultural zone, which is 5 acres. You can see the site, as indicated on this aerial, is bifurcated by the BNSF Railroad to the southwest, and the larger portion of land, approximately 150 or 160 acre section of land. So it's really truncated from that larger section of land. The basis for the request for the zone change to C3 is there's C3 zoning in the area right across the street, and distant to the west, there's also some industrial zoning in the area, and staff believes that this is the highest and best use of the land, given that the applicant who is here tonight, Mr. David Ritchie, has indicated that he would like to develop the site with 3 buildings in the near future, and he's present here if you have any specific questions of him. Lastly, there is adequate infrastructure serving the site as it relates to road and water lines. However, there will be private sewer insofar as the closest sewer connection, public sewer connection, is over a quarter mile to the west of the site. And the code does allow for private sewer where there's a hardship such as this that exists. So this does conclude my presentation, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. It is a public hearing. Thank you.
Okay. First question I have is, what are the buildings going to be used for?
My understanding from Mr. Ritchie is potentially for storage, which would lend itself to a C3 general commercial use. And C3 would also obviously permit other types of commercial uses as well.
Okay. Okay.
If it's private sewer, is that area still going to have enough water for fire?
As the Commissioner, as to fire service, I believe the service is adequate in that area. We could look into that, but there should be sufficient service. And if it's not during the site plan process for the 3 metal buildings, the applicant will have to make any necessary upgrades at their expense.
Okay.
Should that flow be not sufficient.
Okay.
Okay. Did anyone sign up to speak on this? No. Okay. Okay. I have no one from the public that signed up to speak on this topic, so are there any other comments from the commission? Okay. That being said, thank you. I think that's all we have. This was a hearing, so I will move on to the 5.3. Consider approval of an ordinance to rezone the property located on East Chestnut Street between North 30th Street and 42nd Street from Agriculture District to C3 General Commercial District.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Passes 7-0. Item number 5.4, hold a hearing on an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 11, under zoning, Chapter 1, purpose, interpretation, definitions, Section 11-1-7, definitions, to add medical marijuana processor, Chapter 10, supplemental zones. Article C, ETS, Enid Town Square Overlay District, Section 11-10C-5, prohibited uses to prohibit medical marijuana dispensaries, commercial growers, or processors, providing for repealer, savings clause, and severability and codification. Those are words I never used before, so, okay. So that being said, go ahead, Alex.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, as you said, this is a public hearing. A very brief overview on this text amendment for the code within the Enid Town Square overlay zone. This ordinance, there are a couple of minor tweaks that were made to it since then, but the ordinance was originally reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, the Mayor and Board of Commissioners at the study session on May 16th. And input was sought and direction was given. Also, a public hearing was held on June 20th of 2023 before the MAPC, the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. They did recommend unanimously that this board consider adopting the ordinance. In short, the ordinance would prohibit medical marijuana dispensaries, commercial grow facilities, or medical marijuana processors from locating within the Enid Town Square Overlay District as is depicted on this map. Staff has reviewed this and believes that the ordinance, with its set of regulations, promotes what we're trying to achieve in the downtown, which is a walkable, business-friendly downtown, family-friendly downtown, and we think that these are reasonable protections to secure the preservation and enhancement of downtown within the Enid Town Square.
Okay. I will open it up to the general public. We have several people that signed up to speak, but they didn't put what portion they wanted to speak. So Ray Graves, do you want to talk about this? No, sir. Okay, then I'm going to hold off, okay, on yours.
And then Adrian. Adrian Alatorre, same thing.
Yeah, Adrian Alatorre, are you wanting to talk about this topic?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine. What I'm going to do on this hearing tonight, since we have several people that want to speak, and it is a very, it's a topic that needs to be discussed, I'm going to open it up to 3 minutes. At the end of 3 minutes, if any one commissioner wants to ask for more time, they can, if they haven't heard everything they want, for the people that are talking during the hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So. I'm sorry, please always state your name and your address.
Good afternoon. My name is Adrian Alatorre. My address is 402 West Elm here in town. So, yeah, very close to that area, the Enid Town Square. I could cross the catty corner, right there. But overall, what a great Independence Day, right? So thank you to all the city officials, everybody that's involved for the celebration that we had at Meadow Lake. I think I was there. It was a great event in celebrating the 4th of July. So thank you for that. The 4th of July also provides us a reminder of the founding fathers and their intent of our republic's structure, right? So we have understood for freedom, or we have stood for freedom, prosperity, and opportunity. Overregulation is a quiet tyranny on the, quote, nanny state, unquote. It hamstrings American businesses and hobbles economic growth. The ability of the American people to govern themselves has been undermined by a vast array of agencies with sweeping power to regulate every aspect of the American life. They legislate as if they were Congress. Cronyism is inherent in the progressive vision of the administrative state, the one we have currently. Crony capitalism gives us special interests in tax breaks, custom designed regulation, and special exemptions for favored parties. Now, this is exactly word for word out of the GOP's platform for 2022, I believe, what I just read. So the Heritage Foundation lists the U.S. at an all-time low at 70.6 on the overall economic freedom index, if you will. So to give you an idea, we're now 25th in the world on economic freedom. And it's not solely because of this administration, our current administration, it's from both parties. We're on the downslope. And we could chart that out. We don't have time, certainly. But these are the facts. These are the sources. Now, we vote
You have 30 seconds.
where we shop. And so the market should deem what product and service is profitable and in a certain location, and there is the value of that exchange. The fact that it is profitable proves it. We should not be placing limits on medical access on what the state of Oklahoma now considers legal. We do have concerns, and I do have concerns on the large amount of dispensaries around town. Would I rather have them fail on their own? Or better yet, as Adam Smith has it, have that invisible hand, right? We need to dictate a safe and ensure a safe and successful, clean.
Your 3 minutes are up, sir.
Viable business.
Okay.
Thank you for.
I'd like to hear him continue this. Pretty interesting.
Okay. All right.
Hear it.
How long would you like?
Additional
1
3
to 3
minutes.
Another 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Oh, I was going a little bit too fast towards the end, but essentially have the free market dictate, right? The invisible hand of Adam Smith, if you guys may not be familiar with it. It may take some time. Yes, there's eyesores. Yes, there's concerned safety. I'm a father of, 3, clearly, right? But there's risks downtown in all cities, downtown, small cities, large cities, medium cities like our own. And I don't even smoke, clearly, but, or maybe not clearly, I could, right? But I don't. So that's my free market concern, my who chooses winners and losers, right? I would rather have, and I think I said it here, a viable, successful, clean, safe, profitable business downtown. And if it would be 1 or say it'd be 2, I don't know the number, but let the market decide that. And just like any other undesirable businesses, and undesirable is a pretty large word, right? Eventually they will fail on their own. And that's how I would prefer it. I think that's how our party, or the GOP, prefers it. And so just take a minute to consider and remember what these regulatory effects the city of Enid or any other city historically continues to make at a local level. And that's all. Thank you for your time. If there's any questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Valentin Alatorre? And to confirm, you are speaking on this topic?
I actually wanted to speak on the other one, but I just wanted to say something. Just let the market do its thing. I don't think that's y'all's role to decide. I mean, in a respectful way.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. And then I have Corey Frisbee. Corey, same thing, I'll give you 3 minutes. Then if you're not done, if any one of the commissioners wants to hear more, they can certainly request that, okay?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for hearing me tonight. My name is Corey Frisbee. My address is 823 West Rush here in Enid. We've lived here for, well, since 2000 or so. I really appreciate what's trying to be done, with the downtown and make it family friendly, make it appropriate, and we agree with that. I'm the owner at Natural Remedies, and we are actually just outside of this overlay district, our current building that we rent. Our new building, we have purchased the old Q-Spot building there at 221 West Cherokee, which is just inside this line. And the way I understand it is we should still be okay to open our business at that location because we've had we've been in the process actually for a couple of years now to try to get that done. But we're a very, very family-friendly business. We don't really believe in giving this image of smoking marijuana. We don't have pot leaves, characters smoking marijuana on the side of our building, and nor do we think that should be appropriate in the downtown area. What I would like to see a little bit more than deciding whether or not these particular businesses can be there is maybe changing or adopting an ordinance that ensures these businesses can be responsible with their imagery or their behavior or how they conduct their business and make it a family-friendly place. I know that we get a lot of business there in our dispensary, and I think it brings a lot of business to downtown. And we get people from out of town that come specifically for our dispensary because we conduct business in an appropriate manner. We grow and we sell clean medicine to people, and we're an honest business. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people come from out of town to see us. I just hope to see an ordinance that just doesn't restrict the whole, the whole industry here in Enid. I'm afraid that an ordinance like this may run businesses out, local businesses that have worked hard since the beginning in 2018, and then bring more out-of-town businesses in, chains, and things of that nature.
We have 30 seconds remaining.
So no, thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys. That's all I got.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's the last speaker.
We'll be clear, we're not
we have no power to shut down the doors of any existing business within this district, correct?
We do not.
So
Well,
these businesses
let-
are
let me back up.
grandfathered in?
They have to stay within code on everything.
Okay.
But if this will not affect an existing business. And Mr. Frisbee, I will tell you that I've looked at your application. I understand the situation. And that you've already gone through the process, that you're waiting on approval from OMMA and whether or not that transfer will terminate those other two locations you have. So the city hadn't signed off, but your application was in prior to when this took place. So we understand that. We're trying to be fair on it as well.
Absolutely.
But, so that's as far as I'll go with that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? Did that answer your question? We're not shutting down anything that's already there.
I just want to,
His is a transfer.
it's good to make that clear to the public,
Yeah.
that we're not shutting down any businesses.
We're not.
Okay.
But moving forward, they will not be inside that overlay.
And we have had, I know we've had businesses, perhaps as Alex from code enforcement, do we have any, there have been businesses that have complained about the smell drifting into their businesses, which, I mean, I think that begins to infringe on their ability to conduct business, especially if it's a doctor's office or anything. So is our code enforcement, or do we require dispensaries to have a little bit more, better ventilation?
Mayor, Commissioner, yes, when they come in with the plans, they're supposed to have more, and it's usually on the amount that they're producing. So I haven't heard any direct complaints, because what we would do at that point is we would do a nuisance on smell, and we can move forward with that.
Okay.
So I haven't had anything that we would work on that, but that would be the idea, is if the smell is emanating from the building, they would do charcoal filters. I've seen other type of filters that help eliminate that smell from emanating out.
Now, is all that regulated by the state law?
It's
These
the
businesses have to-
IBC, IMC is usually kind of where it lays at.
Okay.
Which means the
Those
city.
filters down.
That means the city, right?
Correct.
City code.
Yes. Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, that's all the speakers that I had. I will, if there's anybody else that wants to speak, since this is a public hearing. Okay? That being said, I'll move on to 5.5. Consider approval of an ordinance amending the Enid Public Code 2014, Title 11, Zoning, Chapter 1, Purpose, Interpretation, Definitions, Section 11-1-7, Definitions to add medical marijuana processors, Chapter 10, Supplemental Zones, Article C, ETS Enid Town Square Overlay District, Section 11-10C-5, Prohibited Uses, to prohibit medical marijuana dispensaries, commercial growers, or processors, providing for a repealer, saving clause, severability, and codification. I got it that time. Alex?
Yes, Mayor, this is a companion piece to the item 5.4, which was your public hearing. So if you're free to go forward with the vote, and as a reminder, depending on your vote on this, if it is approved, this will go into effect within 30 days from date of adoption. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'll look for a motion.
Those businesses that are in the overlay area are grandfathered in. This is for any new businesses that might want to come in to the area.
That is correct, with the one exception, which I think was mentioned earlier. If there's any transfers, we can't prohibit transfers from outside, but going forward, it will prohibit the establishment of any new businesses within the Enid Town Square that fall within this definition.
And the transfer that we were discussing earlier with Mr. Frisbee, he's already in on that grandfathered
He is, assuming that he gets the transfer
transfer.
and it meets some other milestones from OMMA. So the city has purposely waited until we get clarification from them. So I'm not gonna sit here and guarantee it, but assuming all those i's are dotted and t's crossed, we're not gonna hold it up.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
If I,
Now, I will tell you in my discussions, he has 2 locations. He wants to move to the Q spot, basically. Our stipulation is that we don't end up with 3 instead of 2. So that transfer means, and what we're waiting to find out, that those licenses are no longer good at those 2 locations. That's what we're waiting to see.
Ms. Frisbee, your intention, since we had the hearing and this question didn't come up until now, but your intention is closing down those 2 other locations and moving them to one building, which is the old Q spot.
So, to be correct, we have one retail location, which is at 404 North Grand. That's our retail store, and that's also where we hold our processing license. And then our second location is actually our grow operation. It's our commercial grow operation, and it's located 1 block east of there on the corner of Elm and Second. Yeah, on the corner of Elm and Second. And that location, that grow, is not going to move. This move is just going to be our retail store into our new building we rent now currently on Grand, and we have purchased this building, the old Q-Spot building, a few years back, and we've been working hard to get in there. So the Grand location will cease to exist, and the Cherokee location will be our new point of business.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So he's basically just transferring dispensaries.
One more question.
It's our understanding, Mr. Frisbee, that with your application, you're transferring, I think your application said you were transferring all 3, but you're transferring the dispensary, or you're asking to through MMA, the dispensary and the processor, right?
The dispensary and the processor is located at the same location, and those 2 will transfer into the Cherokee.
So the building on Grand that you're, I think, renting from Dusty Woods,
Correct, sir.
you will be vacating?
Yes, sir.
If OMMA gives you the license?
Yes, sir.
I was just gonna ask you, the holdup on the transfer, is that on the state's
So
end?
I should clarify that. We have yet to put in the application for transfer, for an address change is what the OMMA calls it. It's an application for address change. And as far as I know, there's no real stipulations for that other than just providing the certificate of compliance from the city of Enid that says we have dotted all our i's and crossed all our t's. So we have to wait on our certificate of compliance from the city of Enid before we can even put in the application for the change of address.
And
Yeah,
then,
and let me go ahead and address that for you, Commissioner Blevins and the commission. What we have all learned from experience is that after the city signs off on that, OMA will not, I've heard that the defunct marijuana farm out east of town, do something. We are trying to do something on that. Unfortunately, OMA has not have been of any assistance yet. So what we have learned the hard way is that what they do pay attention to is when the city signs off that a business is in compliance, they'll go forward with their process. So we're taking the time to do our due diligence to be sure that they're in compliance, and realizing that once we sign that and give that to the applicant, he gives it to OMA, they'll have their process of whatever, 90 days or whatever it is. So I think we're doing our due diligence there. So I wouldn't say we're holding it up. I'd say we're doing our due diligence for something that I believe has been requested. Even you here tonight said, sir, that you, I think, generally agree. You just want to make sure that your transfer's not held up.
Absolutely.
Because it may help your business.
Yeah, to be
in that area.
To be
There won't be
clear.
competitors.
Yeah, to be clear, for sure, we just want, we are scared, frankly, that we weren't going to be able to open in our new store. That's the gist of it, If we get the okay from the city that says, hey, we're gonna, if you guys do what you're supposed to do by law of the city and the ordinance and code, and the state, of course, then we're gonna let you do this thing. We were just scared we weren't gonna be able to move in, and we have a lot of money wrapped up in this old Q-Spot building.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of getting nervous that this meeting and this vote would kick us out of there.
Yeah. I think we owe Mr. Frisbee whatever help we can give him, because certainly our downtown is in need of commercial properties coming in to enhance business down there. And it's certainly not our job to determine, or to help one business out over the other. We need to make the playing field level. And Mr. Frisbee certainly does deserve that opportunity with his purchase down there.
And I
Certainly in this economy, purchasing a commercial property had to be a big risk for you.
And we certainly agree at the city. We have just learned the hard way. We must do our due diligence, and that's simply all we're doing, Commissioner, when that's complete, unless there's some reason. Part of that is, and I think you have a copy of a letter that we sent to OMMA. I mentioned to you yesterday, unfortunately, I didn't get to talk to you, but I left you a message that I've asked OMMA for some clarification, which I think is important for us, simply because, again, once we give you that compliance letter, then you can move forward and they can approve it. I will say that if there's problems, any kind of code issues, we will have to address them. But what I'm trying to tell you as Commissioner is the state agency that regulates will be of no assistance in the future. And so I just want everybody to be clear that we are business friendly for all businesses. But just as I think some discussion here, some businesses may negatively impact on others. So we try to be business friendly to everybody, including the businesses that may perceive that they're negatively impacted. And I appreciate you coming here tonight, talking about, I think we have the same goals. So we're just trying to do our due diligence, and I appreciate you, Commissioner. We are not holding anything up.
Sure.
And when we get our answers, we're dutifully
But
going to sign off.
it is the state that's issued a moratorium on new
Yes, sir.
licenses? Okay.
Yes, sir, they have.
That's beyond our.
However, they do allow transfers, but no new,
Mr.
no
Frisbee,
new
how long
groweries
have you
or
been in
anything.
business in the downtown area?
2018, sir, we were actually the first dispensary to open there, and we have been at that grand
How
location.
many violations have you had since 2018?
0.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And quite a few have shut down since he's been in business, so.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
He's reputable.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, back to 5.1. I'm looking for a motion.
5.5.
I have a motion.
It'd be 5.5. You said 5.1.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5.5. I'm sorry. Looking for a motion.
Second?
Did you motion?
I'll motion, yeah.
Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. All in, please cast your ballots. Okay, motion passes 7-0. Move on to the next public hearing. 5.6, hold a public hearing on an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 11, zoning, Chapter 1, purpose and interpretations, definitions, Section 11-1-7, definitions to clarify the definition of a commercial marijuana, a commercial medical marijuana grow facility. To specify the grow facility must be a factory group building or occupancy. Chapter 5, Agricultural General District, Section 11-5-2, permitted uses to remove commercial medical marijuana grow facilities. Chapter 7, Commercial District, Article B, C-1, Light Commercial District, Section 11-7B-2, District Use Requirements to prohibit commercial medical marijuana grow facilities. Article D, C-3, General Commercial District, Section 11-7D-2, District Use Requirements to prohibit commercial medical marijuana grow facilities and expressly provide for medical marijuana dispensaries. Chapter 8, Industrial Districts, Article A, I believe that's
I-1.
I-1, Planned Industrial Park District, Section 11-8A-5, permitted uses to allow commercial medical marijuana grow facility. Article B, I-2, Industrial Light District, Section 11-8B-3, permitted uses to allow a commercial medical marijuana processor, providing for repealer, saving clause, severability, and codification.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commission. Very briefly, as you know, this is a public hearing to amend, essentially do a text amendment to the sections of the code. As a bit of background, this item, this draft ordinance, was presented to Metropolitan Area Planning Commission on June 20th of 2023, and they did make a unanimous recommendation to approve it. It was also reviewed, substantively reviewed by the Mayor and Board of Commissioners on May 22nd at a council study session. Basically, with the new definition of commercial medical marijuana grow facilities, it now would include a standard that they be located, or all those activities be confined within an F-type building, which, as I indicated previously, is a factory occupancy, which is a higher standard for use. The next highest standard would be an H occupancy, like a hazardous occupancy, like chemical processing or manufacturing, to give you some sense of the order of magnitude. It also not only defines the use as requiring that they be located in an F-style building, it also limits such uses to the industrial zones only. So they would no longer be permitted in the commercial zones, nor would they be permitted in the agricultural zones. Staff does believe that this is a reasonable regulation and it's a reasonable set of standards to enforce in the community. This concludes my presentation. Be more than happy to answer any questions.
I note there's a mistake in the agenda. I think that the study session was June 22nd, 2023.
There was actually two study sessions. There was one early in May, and we did talk about it again on the 22nd. It was talked about in MAPC on the 20th as well.
The ETS, yeah.
Yes.
But I think you guys reviewed this one on June 22nd. It doesn't make any difference. It's just, and it's my mistake. I did not catch it.
That's right. We talked about the ETS one.
Yes.
In May.
My question would be, would this grandfather in those who are currently in compliance in non-industrial zoned places?
That's a good question, and the answer is yes. It works the same way. The zoning would go into effect if the ordinance is adopted within 30 days. Anything else that's in here legally in any of the commercial zones or any of the other zones that are fully licensed in full compliance will be, in essence, grandfathered in. So it's an ordinance going forward 30 days from the date of adoption, should you adopt it.
How many grow facilities are currently in commercial or agricultural? Do we have a number
Commissioner,
on that?
that's a good question, and I had that number. I don't know if Scott recalls. I was prepared for that, and I didn't bring my notes with me. Scott, do you know offhand? So that sounds about right. Should be about 20 such facilities, but I don't have that exact number.
Okay. Valentine, I think maybe, didn't you want to speak on this? Okay, if you want to come on up. Give you 3 minutes.
Yes, I'd like to say that I actually did not get to read the International Code book because it's so big. It's like probably like a foot thick. It's like taller than it is wider. So what's happening right here is that you're essentially adding additional laws. So United States has so much laws that, as the gentleman, my brother just left, we rank now the 25th in economy-wise, the freedom of economy. So mainly because we have so many regulations. So some of us say, oh, we're not for over-regulations, we like regulations. I'm not advocating the abuse of drug use, by no means. What I'm saying is that this is essentially adding more rules, more regulations, and quite frankly, it's only aimed at one specific industry. Okay, and this will affect me because I won't get to the details, but if the hoop houses on the east side, I'm not involved with that, but if they would grow a different product, for example, say tomatoes, those hoop houses would still be, they would still be ugly. That's essentially why I'm assuming that why these extra regulations are coming, because we don't like the appearance of how it looks and stuff. Quite frankly, I agree, it is ugly. But, I mean, I just look the other way. You know, it sometimes smells better than the landfill, that's for sure. I just want this board to vote no on extra regulations and simply just look on the regulations that we already have. Quite frankly, I think the place on the east side of town are already in violations. They're regulated not only through OMMA, International Code, but they're also regulated by the Oklahoma Department of Narcotics, I believe. And one of the rules that they have, I know this because I had a meeting with that entity. And before you have to register with them an additional to the OMMA to have a grow facility. They sit you down, have a meeting, interrogate you, whatever. They have rules, regulations additional to the building code. And those rules, one of them states that it has to have certain type of height of fence, it has to have barbed wire, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what Barbados.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. I'm just saying that it also has to have some type of, it has to be not in view of the general public. Quite frankly, we see it, so it's in view. They're already in violation. Why don't we just use the laws that already exist to ensure that everybody obeys these laws instead of adding additional laws? So we want to add more, well, let's just bring another book and keep on continuing. And those, maybe one day we'll end up like Cuba. I don't know. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this? Mr. Frisbee, did you want to speak again? Okay. You put in both sections, yeah.
So my concern on this one is that these, the additional measures that we're going to have to take as a business, even if we're in an F1 rated building now, for example, our building is currently a cinder block building. I think it's a double cinder block building. And we have built rooms inside this building, up to code, of course, but they are made of wood. And I'm just afraid that the cost for, say, a sprinkler system or something else would just be too much, you know, for our business, you know, specifically to handle. It would really put us out of business, I think. From what I'm understanding, if we had to get a sprinkler system, for example, in our business, it could be upwards of $200,000, and there's just no feasible way that a lot of these local businesses can do that. So I think that most of the time, a lot of these marijuana grows just simply aren't up to code. And please don't take this the wrong way, but I fear that it's just simply city has not actually stepped in and inspected these buildings yearly. You know, every year, for example, when we get our certificate and we have to get our renewals for our licenses, we need to put in another certificate of compliance with the state. But they make it so where we can just click a box on that application that says nothing has changed, and then the city code office doesn't require to physically come out and inspect again. So I think a lot of problems really do happen when in between these periods of inspection. For example, I've been inspected one time, you know, by the city fire marshal. Has come out and looked at everything. And since then, every renewal, I've just been able to, because nothing has changed, that's honest, nothing has changed in my facility, so I don't have to have a physical inspection. And I agree with the dangers there as far as large production grow facilities go, but for industrial, to me, it seems like heavy machinery, you know. Someone could die if something falls on you, or if a piece of machinery goes haywire. In a commercial grow facility, we have no Thanks, sir. We have no heavy machinery, in a commercial grow. Everything's pretty light duty, and I agree with the light industrial zone, requirements that we're at right now, and that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From my understanding, the grandfathering in would mean that they would not have to meet these new standards, correct?
That is correct, depending upon when they're granted the license. And just to reiterate on this F-type building is really simply a higher standard for a building. We're not mandating how that building looks, but we are saying that there are certain life safety systems that are found within a factory-type occupancy that are more conducive for this type of operation. Specialized ventilation, fire suppression, not necessarily sprinklers, things to control odors. If it's extraction, there are certain chemicals that have to be used, to my understanding, in the extraction process. So again, the F-style building just mandates a higher threshold for safety for the community and for the use as well. Thank you.
It sounds like his grow facility is not planning to be moved, so his current license would suffice.
And in the F1, to be clear, that can even be a metal building?
That's correct. Again, we're not mandating.
It doesn't have to be the cinder block?
It doesn't have, it could be cinder block, it could be heavy frame construction. This picture, thank you for pulling it up, is just one of many examples of what you might find with an F building. Typically what you look for, and you'll see them throughout Oklahoma, if they're done on an industrial scale, you'll look for a lot of transformers providing power. You'll look for a lot of ventilation fans and or mechanical compressors or condensers on the outside. So the skin could be any number. It could be wood, it could be metal, it could be cinder block.
And one other thing, a lot of those safety features are also to increase the safety of our fire department, right, when they go in also. So it's not just about the people that work there, it's also when they go in, there's any kind of chemicals and some things like that.
Thank you, Mayor, and that is absolutely correct. That's why, as I mentioned, the H occupancy is an example. Our firefighters need to know what they're going into. And certainly if these buildings are designed to a higher standard, it doesn't mean that there won't be unfortunate things that happen. And I'm certainly not in fire, but they know what they're getting into with this higher standard should they have to be called out.
And I know we're limited on resources and personnel, but it sounds like to me they would like to be inspected considerably more often.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify, it's my understanding on a straight renewal, OMMA is not asking us for a new certificate of compliance. I could be wrong. Scott, G, you could probably answer that. Are they asking us for a new certificate of compliance on a straight renewal?
On a straight renewal, like Corey was talking about, if it's nothing changed on it, that's where we're not getting.
Exactly. So the only reason we're getting one on natural remedies is because they've asked to transfer.
Correct.
So I just want to clarify that if we, the city staff, gets a certificate of compliance request, we will, I assure you, we will come out and inspect.
Correct.
And we do. And so, and then, because again, that's the only tool that I've seen that the OMA, to their credit, relies on the city to do that inspection. And once we do that, they move on with their process. So if it's a straight renewal, we're not even getting asked by OMMA.
Correct. We don't know about it until
we look it up on the website and see. Thank you.
Questions or comments, commissioners?
I've learned a lot about marijuana in the last couple of months. I hope everybody has. So.
Okay. That being said, we let everybody talk that wanted to, right? Okay. I'll move on to 5.7. Consider approval of an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 11, Zoning, Chapter 1, Purpose, Interpretations, Definitions, Section 11-1-7, Definitions, to clarify the definition of a commercial medical marijuana grow facility to specify the grow facility must be a factory, group building, or occupancy. Chapter 5, Agriculture, General District, Section 11-5-2, permitted uses to remove commercial medical marijuana grow facilities. Chapter 7, commercial districts, Article B, C-1, light commercial district, Section 11-7B-2, district use requirements to prohibit commercial medical marijuana grow facilities. Article D, C-3, to prohibit commercial marijuana grow facilities. Article D, C-3, general commercial district, Section 11-7D-2, district use requirements to prohibit commercial medical marijuana grow facilities and expressly provide for medical marijuana dispensaries. Chapter 8, industrial districts, Article A, I-1, planned industrial park district, Section 11-81-5, permitted uses to allow commercial medical marijuana grow facilities. Article B, I-2, industrial light district, Section 11-8B-3, permitted uses to allow a commercial medical marijuana processor, providing for repealer, saving clause, severability, and codification.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. 7-0. Item number 6, consent.
Move to approve all consent.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. 7-0. Right here. Item number 7, recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. All the trustees are present for the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting. Item 9.1, approval of claims in the amount of $154,926.04.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Item number 10. I'm sorry.
That one carried 7-0.
Yes. Yes, that carried 7-0. Item number 10, adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. Item number 11, trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting are all present. Item number 12.1, consider approval of the 2023-2024 contract for economic development services between the Enid Economic Development Authority and the Enid Regional Development Alliance, Inc., in the amount of $800,000, and authorize the chairman to execute agreement documents.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor, cast your vote. Motion passes 7-0. Item 12.2, approval of claims in the amount of $13,717.52.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 13, adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. All the trustees are present for the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting. Item number 15-1, approval of claims in the amount of $1,551.29.
To approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Item number 16, adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item number 17, public comment.
Ray Graves.
And I have Ms. Graves. The time will be back at 1 minute. Please direct your comments to the entire group, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I just have a few things. My name is Ray Graves. I'm not here in place of Wheatheart, but I go to Wheatheart every day, or at least most of the time. And a lot of people have mentioned before about a gentleman on 2501 North Madison. he had the hole that was in the road by his place. That hole is still there, and that was a couple of months ago. He said he sees where y'all have work has been done on the upper part of the street, but still that same problem is still there. So he wanted me to mention that. He mentioned it last week to me. And then also a lady on 2300 East Oak, the creek behind her house. She has a fence up there. Her fence keeps her yard cut. On the other side of that fence is city, and the grass stays high. She has called, she has come up here, but she was given the comment that that's your responsibility. She said, that's city's land. She said, but that is still your responsibility. And so, same thing, another lady at 2801 Sage Street, she said it's a cul-de-sac. And she said there's no drainage at all. She said when it rains, it floods, and then floods gets in the yard, all the yards.
Okay.
So that,
Okay. Do you have any others?
that's 1, 2, 3. Back to me, yes.
Okay.
Which every summer, same thing, I'm sorry. Over there by the creek on this south side, the east of that creek, the grass is always cut. Why, we have yet to figure out why this grass that's on my side,
Okay.
you know, it's still across that street, right across before you go across the bridge to get to the football field. A lot of people come down the street to go across that bridge. That grass is high. Every year, I have to keep calling. I didn't call them this year because I knew I was coming here. So if that, I can give you those addresses. And one more last thing, and this is just me. I go into Wheatheart, that what is that? The drive area where the people come up in there. To, you know, the street they can get on to get into part to get into the Wheatheart. That still has a lot of holes. The street is really bad. It's a lot of us elderly people. We have, some of us has canes, walkers, and all that, and I don't want to see any of them get hurt. I really don't. I don't want to get hurt. So, no.
Ray, how's that new water line working out for
Now,
you?
that water line is going good.
Good. Thank you for ending on that note.
Yeah, and I should have brought that, yes, thank you, because
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and we will take a look at all those.
okay,
Yes, ma'am.
good. Okay, do you need any of those addresses?
Yes, if you could give it to
Scott
us.
wrote them down.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all we had signed up for public comment. So I will go to item 18, executive session. 18.1, consider convening into executive session at the recommendation of the city attorney pursuant to 25.0.S307C11 to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including the creation of proposals to entice the location in Enid of a department store, a movie theater, and an entertainment center, and to develop a proposal for a new industrial site in Enid. As public disclosure of these matters discussed would interfere with the development of the proposals and impair the ability of the public body to proceed with these matters in the public interest and reconvene into regular session to take any necessary action.
Move to executive session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. We are adjourned to executive session.